Hello. Let me make sure my settings are correct. My audio settings. Looks good. Looks good. All right, let's see if we can beat this time. Last time it was causing us a lot of problems. And also it wasn't letting me skip through the cutscene, which was making me super angry. And it's still doing that, so that's cool. I don't know why you can't skip through this cutscene right before one of the hardest bosses in the game. That doesn't really make sense. I wish I could speed it up. Come on. What up, Olav? How's it going? How is it going? I've watched this cutscene like 10 times now because I've been stuck on this fight. Skip. It might be a skill issue. It might be. I'm so salty that I'm banned from posting in the deprogram Reddit. The deprogram meaning the communist podcast with Ugopnik and Hakeem and Second Thought. I've never done anything rude to any of them. But they all think I'm an evil pat sock because Carlos had a conversation with Haas. Like, I'm sorry, guys, but that's what communists are supposed to be doing, is reaching out to new people and trying to get new people in the movement. And if you ban anyone from your Discord and call them a pat sock because they reach out to someone you don't like, you're no better than the cancel culture liberals in that aspect. I mean, that's just pure fucking liberalism. So, yeah, I literally was just having a conversation in their Discord and said, Carlos had a conversation with Haz Aldin yesterday. You guys should watch it. And then I got banned and it said, you are wife, no pat socks. I'm so fucking sick of that word. I'm so sick of hearing, what's up, Nick Millen? I'm so sick of hearing liberals or communists with liberal tendencies calling people pat socks with no explanation of what that means. You know, I see so many comments like, this is a great video, but this guy's a pat sock. What the hell does that mean? So you agree with everything I'm saying, but you think I'm a sock, a patriot sock? You think because I don't want to run around burning the American flag that I'm a pat sock and I should be banned from communist spaces? Like, grow the fuck up. I'm so sick of it. And like, it's like, whatever. You see that from like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds on the internet, whatever. But to see it from the deprogram, from Hakeem and Ugopnik and Second Thought, who are supposed to be like Marxist leaders, that they're banning people from their Discord for being pat socks if they talk to people who they disagree with. Grow up. Grow the hell up. I'm sorry. That's all there is to it. That's just completely childish. Gopnik originally supported Haas until the Radlib backlash against him, and then he changed his stance. Yeah, and like, it's like the deprogram is captive to the liberal elements of their audience. There are these elements of their audience who will have a panic attack anytime Haas is mentioned. So the deprogram's like, oh, well, we better ban anybody from our Discord. It's like, you're not going to grow that way. And I know JT has been having trouble with views lately. It's like, well, quit tailoring your content and tailoring how you run your community to these like cancel culture libs in your audience. That's how I feel about it. But that's really interesting that Gopnik originally supported Haas. So he liked Haas. And then he got, told that Haas is a fascist evil pat sock. And now anybody who talks to Haas gets banned from their Discord. Very interesting. I mean, and it's technically not them. It's one of the moderators in their Discord, but so I guess I shouldn't judge them too harshly, because at one point we had some liberal moderators, running our Discord, or sorry, their Reddit, not their Discord. So I shouldn't judge them too harshly, but it's still just stupid, I think. I do declare. Ouch. Let's do this. That hot stream was literally why everyone mad. Yeah, and like, listen to the stream. That's what I was trying to say in the Reddit. I'm like, you can't tell me these guys are, you can't listen to this stream and tell me with a straight face that Haas and Carlos are fascists or that they're evil pat socks. They're just talking about Marxism. They're talking about socialism. They're talking about the best strategy going forward for making the world a better place. It's like, is that what it means to be a pat sock? Is that what it means to be evil? Are you on Twitch or something? Yeah, I'm on Twitch, YouTube, and X. That's where I'm at right now. I was told I just need to keep poisoning this guy. That's what the internet said to do. So yeah, I was salty that I got banned from that Discord. From that Reddit. But maybe they'll reinstate me. Maybe one of the guys will see it and wake me up. Oh, jeez. I thought she was going to live that. Why is this guy so fast? Why did he get so many attacks? Might as well. Okay, now let's bring in Joseph Stalin. Actually, let's bring in Waka. Now let's just start pelting this MF. I could never bring my coworkers from the docks around the purity fetish nerds. Exactly. And then they talk about, reaching out to the working class. It's like, dude, you're banning people from your Reddit page for having conversations with people they don't like. You're banning people from your community if they have any. Whoops, I accidentally skipped my own turn there. That sucks. If they have any kind of sense of patriotism towards their own country, if they're a pat sock, you're banning them from your community. And it's like, okay, then how do you expect to reach out to the American working class then? Like, you're talking about organizing all the workers for political struggle, and you're going to ban anybody from that political struggle who has feelings of patriotism? Like, grow up. Grow up. That's not going to work. You don't talk to working class people if you genuinely think that's going to work. You don't talk to this guy's coworkers who work down at the dock if you think that, they're going to agree with banning anybody who's patriotic from the movement because they're pat socks. Give me a fucking break, dude. We have a ton of people at LIWU who are whack, but I still deal with it. Right, you deal with it like an adult. You understand that you're not going to agree with people on every little issue. It is what it is. That's life. Get out of your leftist online internet bubble. What? Oh, I didn't realize he had zombie cast on him. I just killed my own teammate. That was such an L. Hey, Eddie, are you going to be attending that event in Dearborn, Michigan? Yes, planning on it. I think I'm speaking as well, which is really cool. I'm quite excited. Quite excited indeed. I think it's going to be a really fun event. I'm excited to meet a lot of people, hopefully a lot of people from the Midwestern Marx audience. It's looking like there might be a DSA counter protest going on. DSA was really mad that we're getting together. Isn't that interesting how when we're trying to do real life organizing stuff and how we're trying to, organize stuff on the ground and actually start, engaging in class struggle, it pisses off the DSA types and the Radlib types. Like, they get so mad at us for building bridges or reaching people outside of the typical online left. And that shows you have to learn to ignore these people. You have to learn to ignore these loud cancel culture type voices with purity fetish voices within the left. Otherwise, you're going to remain trapped in a leftist echo chamber, banning people from your leftist community or your socialist community for being pat socks. And we're never going to win that way. And socialism is about winning. It's about winning power for the working class. It's not about sitting online and complaining that life is hard. Gosh, why is this? This fight is so ridiculously hard. Many of my conservative friends and family have become more open to socialism because of people like Haas and Jackson. Yeah, if I have somebody who I know has conservative social views, which is a lot of people I know, not saying I agree with it, but I don't cancel these people and cut them out of my life because they have conservative social views like much of the left seems to want us to. Right? I know a lot of people in the wrestling community and in my family, which is they're highly religious, who have conservative social views. And I don't send them, people like Hassan Piker because they're not going to like it. It's not going to make them more sympathetic to socialist views. I send them people like Hinkle and Haas, and they tend to like it a lot. Oops, that was stupid. I might lose again, folks. I just got to start taking swings at this guy. What can I do here? Yeah, I just got to do more damage. Quit messing around. Start beating his ass. They complain about us being completely online, then throw a tantrum and call it LARP whenever we organize in real life. That is true. That is true. I mean, it all made perfect sense when I made that tweet the other day, like, Jewish people are not your enemy. Finance capital is your enemy. The big banks and the multinational corporations, those are your enemy, not Jewish people. Clearly combating all of the JQers, the right-wingers who are using this anti-Zionist historical moment right now to try and push, anti-Semitism and legitimately anti-Semitic ideology. Clearly combating those people, and a bunch of leftists came out of nowhere and started calling me anti-Semitic for saying that. They started saying I was being anti-Semitic for using the word finance capital, which is used by Lenin, used by Marx, used by pretty much anybody who made a materialist analysis of capitalism, because all it means is the merger of the big banks and the corporations, big industry. So the fascists, the people who are actually racist and actually believe that Jewish people somehow run the world, those people were teaming up with the leftists to attack us. So the fascists were saying, no, you're wrong, Jews do run the world. And the leftists were saying, this guy's saying that Jews run the world. I mean, it was ridiculous. But that's how it works. These ultra-left rad libs they always in practice end up siding with the fascists who they claim to be combating. They call us anti-Semitic for talking about rich people when all they do is think all rich people are Jewish. Yes, true. That is what the JQers do. Yeah, it's crazy, this neo-Nazi push, like Herzl said, the anti-Semite will be our friend. Exactly. And I would be shocked if some of the neo-Nazism, the resurgence in neo-Nazism that we're seeing right now, if some of that wasn't being backed by various Zionist organizations. I'm almost positive some of it is. Because it's so helpful for them, right? When you have people like Lucas Gage or Dr. Anna Maria Lupus Dumbass or whatever her name is, when you have these big anti-Zionist accounts, Jake Shields, that are legitimately anti-Semitic and that are legitimately pushing Hitlerism, it makes it easy for the Zionists to say, look at all this anti-Semitism on, in the anti-Zionist movement. All these anti-Zionists are anti-Semitic, just like Lucas Gage. And it's not true, right? The vast majority of us are not anti-Semitic. But you have these giant voices who are legitimately pushing Hitlerism and posting, videos of Hitler pandering to the workers and saying, this is so true. We need to help the working class. When if they would study history, they would know the first people that Hitler killed were the organized working class, the communists, the labor leaders, the socialists. And he was financed every step of the way by the likes of Prescott Bush and these other giant finance capitalists. So. Should I attack him or should I heal myself? I can't decide. Attack him. Screw it. Don't die. Watching. It's crazy how they write a whole hit piece on Jackson, how he's bad, but none on Shields, Gage, Owens. I guess the commies are evil. Yeah, exactly. They'll never write a hit piece about the legitimate fascists. And who's the ones combating Lucas Gage? And who are the ones combating, these actual Nazis right now? It's, the Midwestern Mark community and the infrared community. We're the ones taking them head on and explaining to people how they're wrong. But we're the fascists. Watching on company business, aka inside the CIA, trade unions, especially the AFL-CIO, have been backed up by CIA money. Yeah, that's why people call the AFL-CIO the AFL-CIA sometimes. It's not to say they haven't done good stuff or there haven't been good people involved with that organization, but they've also been involved in overthrowing socialist governments and stuff. Let's do this. Let's summon Friedrich Engels to help us out. Well, Israel does exert enormous pressure on the U.S. We're just now seeing how much. See this tweet. Oh, definitely. I mean, APAC, not just APAC, but groups like the ADL, and that's been the case for a while. I really recommend people read Norman Finkelstein's The Holocaust Industry. It is so revealing. It is so good. And, a lot of the scholars who question certain narratives surrounding the Holocaust are Holocaust deniers and actual pieces of shit who have been discredited. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was actually a mistake. Oh, well. But Norman Finkelstein, obviously, his parents are Holocaust survivors. You can trust him to tell the truth about the Holocaust. He's not denying that it happened or any of that stupid crap. But he does poke holes in a lot of the myths that have been propped up by groups like the ADL and explicitly Zionist Israeli groups who really don't represent the Jewish people as a whole. He pokes holes in a lot of their arguments and shows how they've provocated a lot of myths about the Holocaust and used truths about the Holocaust to prop up the state of Israel. It's really, really, really interesting. All right, let's see what we get here. Yellow. Okay. Got it. Let's go. The first time Holocaust footage was shown in America was seen in an Orson Welles movie called Stranger. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. See, now this thing has a bunch of health because I crushed it last time. Oh, well. Oh. Don't kill her. I need to save her. Okay, good. Good. Thank goodness. There we go. Let's do that. Ouch. The bar in the middle of the screen, the boss's HP. No, that's his overdrive. Oh, I barely survived that. So that's when he can use his super move. His HP pops up when I go to attack him. All right, I barely survived that one. In the same movie, Karl Marx is quoted. Oh, that's cool. I hate when liberals try to say Hitler only killed 6 million people. He killed 27 million in the Soviet Union alone. Yeah, but those are deaths of communism, don't you know? Haven't you read the Black Book of Communism? Yeah, all those people that Hitler killed in the Soviet Union, that was actually Stalin's fault, according to the Black Book. Those were actually deaths of socialism. I'm surprised you didn't know that. Every good American should be taught in school that Stalin killed 27 million people by defeating Hitler. I mean, that's really what they do. They really call the Nazis that died in World War II or the Soviets who died fighting the Nazis, they call them deaths of communism. Like, and then, people think the only argument they got to make against communism is, oh, it killed 800 million bajillion people. Like, do you realize in that total are included the people who were defeated by the Red Army during World War II? The dead Nazis are included in that 100 million bajillion total that you're giving me. All right, we can finally get Oren back in here. All right, I gotta focus. Y, B, X, A. Hey, got it. Let's go. That hardly did anything. What the hell? I'm gonna poison this mug again. Is TikTok ban a massive expansion of the Patriot Act, landed the free access to personal data and info? Yeah, I mean, you could call it an expansion of the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was a huge infringement on our freedoms, obviously. But I mean, you could just call it an expansion of the state apparatus. We know as communists, as Marxist-Leninists, that the state is a dictatorship of the ruling economic class. It's a dictatorship of the dominant economic class that's used to mediate class relations, aka keeping the working class in their place. Should I use here? So it's just an expand. Oh, that was lame as hell. Lame as hell. So it's just really an expansion of the state's dictatorship. And their ability to repress the working masses. Those who have implicitly, because of their class position in society, who have the ability to threaten the ruling class. Uh-oh. I was kind of planning on her surviving. This ain't good. Come on, Oren, it's all on your shoulders. The Vietnamese America killed are also victims of communism, right? How hilarious is that? When capitalist countries drop millions of tons of Agent Orange and napalm on you, that's a death of communism. That's communism's fault. When Henry Kissinger commits genocide in Cambodia, that's communism. Can't argue with the facts, commies. Facts don't care about your feelings, stupid commies. I am very smart. I also read something recently that more people died in America during the Great Depression than people in the Holodomor, but I haven't done much research on it yet. Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. The Holodomor. Gosh, I might still be underleveled for this. Might need to level grind a little more, folks. Anything bad is communism, anything good is capitalism. That's basically it. That's how history should be taught, because that's the truth. That's what I felt like when I was debating the Jubilee people, the Jubilee capitalists on that Middle Ground episode. It was like anything bad that capitalism does is actually the government, and it's actually communism. But anything good that capitalism does is real capitalism. Shit, yeah, I'm out of Mega Phoenixes. I'm gonna have to level grind more, folks. I'm not gonna be able to beat this boss fight yet. That's crazy. I feel like I'm such a high level too. China is economically successful because of capitalism, but evil and authoritarian because of communism. Yes, that was even more so the Jubilee debate. It was just like anything good that China did, they tried to take credit for it and say it was capitalism. But anything bad about China, that was communism. It was just so silly. I'm like, no, it's socialism. It's a transitionary state out of capitalism and towards communism. That's why it kind of still looks like capitalism, because China was a feudal country, so they had to level skip capitalism to get to communism. They just entered a cheat code and you're mad about it. Do you believe that the U.S. can become communist democratically or search for other means? Yeah. Yeah, I think the vast majority of people will support socialism once the working class sees its power, right? I think because it's materially in their interest, in people's interest to move towards socialism, whether they like the word or not. Yeah, it's definitely possible. The people who say that communism and socialism aren't possible in the U.S. because the U.S. is uniquely evil, they need to read what Marx and Lenin and Engels and all of our heroes said about the U.S. They didn't say anything like that. They said it was entirely possible for socialism to come about, and they praised the American Revolution. They praised the Civil War. You know, they praised a lot of things about the United States. So, all right, y'all, it's going to be a game over. We're going to have to go level grind more. I've got a doctor's appointment. I can't remember what time it's at. It's at 11:30, so I'll have to leave somewhat soon, but you guys can watch me fight monsters while we talk about socialism and communism a little more. Till then. Too bad, so sad. Sorry, I'm texting Carlos trying to get him to make a TikTok because we've been demonetized from YouTube, so he can't make money streaming anymore, and YouTube still hasn't explained why they did that. So infuriating. YouTube and Google Ads. I mean, seriously, how frustrating is that to get demonetized and not even get a response or get an explanation? But yeah, Carlos obviously has a family, so we're trying to find ways to help him make money. And yeah, so I'm telling him to make a TikTok. We'll see. But yeah, patreon.com/MidwesternMarks, by the way, if you want to help feed Carlos's child, because Google doesn't have enough money. Google can't support us. They needed to demonetize us. They're not making enough profit. Midwestern Marks is cutting into their profits. Richest freaking company in the world, and they got to demonetize us. What a joke. USSA, United Socialist States of America, is possible here. I love it. Systematic problems caused by communism is intrinsic to its character. Problems that come from capitalism, not real capitalism. I don't understand. Do people think trading and making business stops under communism? Capitalist people are something. Making business. Oh, do people think that trading stops and make? Yeah, that's the thing. People are always like, well, that's, not a real socialist country. They have markets, right? They have markets. It's like, well, what society doesn't have markets, right? What is a market? It's just a place where goods and services are traded, right? It's a place where, it's a place where exchange happens. In any society, you're going to have exchange, right? There's always going to be some sort of distribution of goods. You're always going to have goods being exchanged in some way, right? We don't need to do that with everything. But even if you nationalize housing, right? If housing is owned by the masses, by the people, and houses are distributed based on need, and maybe you can have luxury houses. There's some people get luxury houses if they earn them or whatever, I don't know, but You have houses distributed based on need, so you don't have people living in the streets. That's still technically an exchange going on there, right? There's still an exchange. You're still receiving the house. So this idea that all exchange is going to go away and there will be no markets, that just seems unrealistic. And what China says is we have socialist markets, right? We have oh shoot, I'm going to die. Dang it, I'm so stupid. I didn't realize he would do that much damage. All right, now I've gotten 2 game overs in one episode. I didn't really lose anything there, so I'm not too mad. But yeah, so China's like our markets have a different character than capitalist markets, right? Even in industries where there's a lot of private industry and where it's, not largely owned by the state, by the government, you have Communist Party members sitting on the boards of all the major companies, making sure that they follow the state central plan, making sure they do things that aren't exploitative, right? China's constantly cracking down on corrupt finance capitalists, on corrupt bankers, and on corruption in general. Especially that started in the with Xi in the 2000s. So their markets don't work the same. They're highly regulated in a socialist fashion. They're highly regulated by the party to make sure that people are sticking with the socialist central plan that is designed to promote the betterment of the people's lives, the masses, not just the owning class. So their markets are totally different than our markets, and to say they're not real socialism because markets exist, like, what are you talking about? Just get out of here, Shu. You're just speaking nonsense. You learn about markets in different societies in school. You do indeed. You do indeed. Oops. All right, our first level up. So this is how the leveling system works in this game. It's a sphere grid. You go around and you collect the spheres. Pretty cool stuff, right? Well, it's this thing. I don't want to fight this thing. Yeah, I do not want any of this. We're just going to leave. That thing can do an attack that turns your whole party to stone, and then you just die. It's a game over. So want to avoid that at all costs. Regulation is crucial because humans are self-interested. For sure. Yeah, definitely. Especially if you have a lot of private markets in your society like China. Or if you have a lot of privately owned companies. And they're even allowing foreign companies, right? They allow like U.S. companies to make money in China. So they have to regulate them. And those are heavily regulated. They're in special economic zones, which are, decided and heavily controlled by the party. So they understand that these American companies are completely self-interested. They're just going to do what's in the best interest of their profit. What the hell was that? I don't want to fight this thing either. Why didn't I do any damage? They understand that these Western corporations are completely self-interested, so they heavily regulate them. And that's modern socialism. That's 21st century socialism. Dang it, it's another one of these stupid things. Why didn't my attack work last time? Oh. How does that? What? I used thunder? What? That he gained health from that. What the hell? I'm tired of this. Give me someone else to fight. I don't like these guys. I don't understand how they work. The free markets died in the 1920s, though. There was no such thing of a so-called free market. In my opinion, we entered into a different age of markets based on information and based on the concentration of capital in fewer and fewer hands. Lenin talks about this in Imperialism. There's a whole chapter called like monopoly and the concentration of capital. So free markets dialectically transform into their opposite, which is monopolized markets. As capital seeks to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate and dominate the entire market, eventually capital and control of every market is concentrated into the hands of like one cartel or one or a couple giant corporations. You have like an oligopoly or a monopoly in almost every industry. And this especially happens when the banks merge with industrial capital, and all of a sudden the banks themselves are shareholders. And I mean, yeah, it's been like that. Lenin's noticing that in 1917, right? So it goes back to 1920 at least. Oh, I forgot he's immune to that. But that's the natural tendency of capitalism. And what these libertarian folks will say is, no, that's not real capitalism. Once capitalism turns into its monopoly stage, it's not capitalism anymore. It's like, oh, well, isn't that convenient? Right? You have a system that always tends towards the monopolization and control of markets. But then you say when, markets become monopolized, it's not the fault of that system. It don't make no sense. Oops, he's immune. All right, now I got to bring in Yuna and summon Fidel Castro. Eddie, are you streaming on YouTube? Yeah, I'm on the Eddie Liger Smith Gaming YouTube. I'm not on I'm not on the Midwestern Marks YouTube. I'm sorry, Eddie, but that's crony capitalism. Yes, I forgot. Anytime capitalism does something we don't like, it's crony capitalism now. It's not real capitalism. I've had so many debates like that. I had the 3-hour debate with Prax Ben and his buddy Amphetamine Alex or whatever his name was. Me and my buddy Matt Connolly debated them about libertarianism, and it was just like 3 hours of them saying, no, that's crony capitalism. Or no, you can't say capitalism tends towards monopoly, because when a monopoly forms, we say it's not real capitalism anymore. Okay, well, your system has had a tendency for years and years and years to create monopolies. So I don't know how you can, with a straight face, say that that's not real capitalism. And that's all that capitalism does, is create friggin' monopolies. It's not all that capitalism does, but how likely do you think it is for Russia to return to socialism within the next decades? I mean, very likely. There's that video of, I don't know, it's hard to put a timeline on it, but there's that video of the Socialist Party telling Putin, in your next agenda, we'd like to see you achieving socialist goals. And Putin responds by saying, yes, we wrote off socialism too soon. Socialism has a lot of good to it, blah, blah, blah. And really, that's how Putin saved the Russian economy, is through socialist central economic planning. He cracked down on the oligarchs. He cracked down on the Western oligarchs who were pillaging Russia's economy after the fall of the Soviet Union. Right. And he said, if you're going to make money here, you have to do so in a way that betters the conditions of the Russian people. You can't make money here by exploiting the people and shoving them in the dirt. And, a very Chinese style thing. We're going to, we'll allow corporations to make money here so long as they play by our rules. And he also nationalized a lot of industry and invested it in infrastructure and things that you can spend money on when you're not spending money on endless wars like the United States and corporate bailouts. And it was very successful. It has really revamped the Russian economy, which was in a disastrous state after the collapse of the Soviet Union. I mean, people dying of starvation in the streets and stuff for the first time in years. Like really horrific human rights disaster was created by the collapse of the USSR and the dismantling of the socialist system and the pillaging of the Russian economy and other Soviet economies by the West and by Western multinationals. So Putin really saved Russia from that situation, brought them out of that situation. And, you know, the Russian people on some level got to see like, oh, this is what central economic planning can do. This is what socialism can do. We're moving closer to, you know, a Soviet style economic model, and it's better for the people. Not to mention the Communist Party in Russia is, you know, the second most popular party behind Putin, and then who's basically a Russian nationalist. So will they return to communism in, you know, X amount of years? Who's to say? Who knows? Right now, Putin's extremely popular. Right now, Putin's got like 90% support, so people aren't clamoring for a change or a move to a more communistic government. But we'll see as time passes. You know, we'll see, because Putin will have to continue to improve his people's standard of life if he wants to continue gaining popularity. Because as popular as he is right now, you know, people will change their mind quick if their material conditions stop improving. And I would assume that he'll probably have to keep pursuing socialist goals if he wants people's material conditions to keep improving. Right. So yeah, I think Russia, as Alan Freeman said, they'll have to confront their socialist past quite soon. I think that's a good way of putting it. He is sorry, Eddie, but that's real capitalism is totally different and much better, so they say. So they say. So they say. Sorry, I gotta cure all these fools. Make sure I don't die. I need to get Waka in here. He's one of the ones who really needs to level up. He's important for the boss fight. Ouch. Can I take this guy out, you think? Oh, I just gave him health. That's going to make it harder. How many times did you read the Communist Manifesto before fully grasping it? Probably one, because I read Capital Volume 1 and other like really difficult works of Marxist theory before I read the manifesto, because I'm stupid. And I was like, yes, Capital should be Capital was the first work of Marxist theory that I read. I've told that story before because I'm dumb. So by the time I read the manifesto, it was pretty simple stuff. And I really liked it. And I'm like, oh, this is way easier to read than Das Kapital. But yeah, it takes a little bit, you know, it just takes getting the basics of Marxist theory and some of the vocabulary down, but it won't take you too long if you're reading the manifesto and didn't get it. You guys in Haas inspired me to read more about Stalin. Stalin was not only a great leader, but also an underrated intellectual. Yes, very much so. Couldn't agree more. He was underrated as an author, as a theoretician, or as a theorist, right? Dialectical and historical materialism is a pretty great way to learn dialectical materialism. Like if you're just starting out, like I would recommend people read that before reading the Communist Manifesto, honestly. It'll help explain the theory and the philosophy in a much more simple terms, right? It's a great book for beginners. So Stalin knew his stuff, and he's good to read, and was also a good leader. So I'm glad we inspired you to read more. I once saw libertarians say the Roman Empire was socialist because they had free water. The Roman Empire towards its end was actually very capitalist. They had like their own proletariat in addition to having slaves. Hello, Redbird. I completely expected Putin to win the election overwhelmingly because of the war in the Donbass. Yes, but don't you know he rigged it? He rigged the election. There's no evidence for it, but Philip DeFranco announced on TikTok that the election was rigged. And then he did this whole dumbass video without giving us any evidence actually showing that the election was rigged. He did this whole video about dictators like Maduro and Putin and why they hold fake elections. Right? Even though we all know the elections are rigged, there's no evidence for that. Jimmy Carter called Venezuela's elections the most heavily monitored and fair elections anywhere in the world. Jimmy Carter, former U.S. president, said that, but we're supposed to assume that they're rigged because Philip DeFranco said so. Right? And he does this whole video like, why do dictators hold these fake elections, even though they know that they're rigged? It's to trick people into thinking that, you know, they actually have the democratic support of the people. But we, of course, know as enlightened liberals living in America that these elections are fake. We are definitely not the propagandized ones with rigged elections. As what, 93% of our elections are decided by whoever raises the most money. It's Putin and the Russians and Maduro who have the rigged elections, even though there's no evidence. It's the Donbass who has the rigged elections. Coincidentally, whenever it's in the interests of the U.S. geopolitically for an election to be rigged, those are the elections that are rigged. And the rest of them are fair and democratic. Western bourgeoisie is hoping for the next Gorbachev. No 1% Navalny, but it will get a Stalin. Yeah, they are desperate for that. And Navalny they tried to push Navalny even though he didn't have any support among the Russian people. That's an example of how desperate they are for another Gorb, for another Pizza the Hut. Same here. This time for sure beat the game. I'm not going to. I can't. I'm not high enough level yet. I thought I was, but I'm not. I've been saying that I'm going to beat this game for like 10 episodes now. I want to start playing Disco Elysium because I've heard it's made by communists. It seems like the perfect game to play for this stream, but I have to beat Final Fantasy first. Otherwise, I'm a quitter. Well, why don't I have a sphere? Oh, never mind. I am excited to play Disco Elysium, though. It sounds cool. I've heard it's made by communists. We'll see. American right-wingers seem to think that the Communist Manifesto is the only thing Marx ever wrote, and they think that communist theory is based off this one pamphlet. Yeah, I had a teacher who said that. She was head of the local GOP. I've written about this teacher a lot because she inspired me to think that libertarians were really, really stupid. I still had an open mind back in the day about economics and stuff, but this dumbass teacher who's also the head of the local GOP, who's also run for office and lost repeatedly as a Republican, and also who used to work for an insurance company or work in the insurance industry. She was also the head of the economics department at my college. Real gem, this lady. She also liked to dress like Barbie to class on Barbie's birthday. That's neither here nor there, but she did this class where she taught about communism or Marxism, and they would read the manifesto, and she would just just shit all over it and say, "Oh, isn't this stupid? Oh, I might die right now. I just died again. I forgot he does that. I forgot he does the meteor attack. Good thing I saved." She would just go through the manifesto and shit on him and be like, "See, Karl Marx was an idiot. He failed to consider human nature." It's like you're skipping out on the 3,000 or 3,000 page economic analysis that he did called Capital Volumes 1, 2, and 3. But sure. All right, y'all. I got to go get ready for my doctor's appointment. It's been fun hanging out. I'm sorry I didn't beat the game again. I promise I'll get it next time. I don't promise, but eventually. All right. Peace out.